Pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. Let the air fill your lungs. Let it go slowly. Now ask yourself one honest question. How many moments have you wasted? Consumed by anger, drowned in fear, paralyzed by sadness. We often tell ourselves we are free, that we are in control, that we are the masters of our own minds. But look closer. How often do you snap at small things, lose sleep over imagined futures, let a stranger's words ruin your day? We become slaves, not to people, not to circumstances, but to our own untrained emotions. Someone insults you, and you react without thinking. Plans fall apart, and you collapse with them. You face uncertainty, and fear takes the wheel. We live on autopilot, reacting, defending, regretting. Epictetus said, "You are not disturbed by events, but by your judgment about them." Yet, every day, we forget this. We let outside events invade our peace. We let fleeting feelings dictate lasting decisions. Think back to the last time you raised your voice, sent an angry text, made a poor decision in a moment of emotional fog. The damage lingers long after the feeling fades. But the Stoics, they saw this pattern clearly. They named it. They confronted it. They trained for it. They understood one simple truth. You are not your emotions. You are not the anger rising in your chest. You are not the fear tightening your throat. You are not the sadness pressing on your heart. You are the observer of these things. You are the one who decides what to do next. Between stimulus and response, there is a space, a small, sacred pause. Within that pause lies your freedom, your power, your chance to choose. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Strength is not shouting louder, not pretending you don't feel, not burying your emotions in silence. Strength is knowing what you feel, understanding why it's there, and choosing your response with clarity and intention. Today, we face a hard question together. Am I living by emotion or by reason? Am I reacting blindly or responding with wisdom? We will explore this truth. We will look into the roots of emotional slavery. We will uncover the tools the Stoics used to break free from impulsive reactions. Tools forged in hardship, tested in war, in loss, in exile, in sickness. We will learn how to pause before speaking, how to reframe our perspective, how to focus on what we control, and how to train our minds through voluntary discomfort. This is not a quick fix, not a motivational speech. This is philosophy in action, a daily discipline, a lifetime practice, because every day, every moment, every breath, you stand at a crossroads, reaction or response, impulse or intention, slavery or freedom, and the choice, as always, is yours. Let's begin. Look at your life. Look at the small moments, the arguments, the silent grudges, the restless nights spent replaying words. How often do you act not because you've chosen to, but because you're dragged by emotion? Someone criticizes you and your heart beats faster. Someone ignores you and you burn with resentment. A small failure and your mind spirals into self-doubt. We think we are free, but we are pulled like puppets by invisible strings, by fear, by anger, by envy, by pride. We let one bad comment spoil an entire day. We let one failure define our self-worth for months. We let anxiety about tomorrow steal the peace of today. We are like ships without a captain, tossed by every wave, helpless against the storm. Epictetus saw this. He called it slavery. Not slavery of the body, but slavery of the mind. He said, No man is free who is not master of himself. It's a harsh truth, but necessary. Because freedom doesn't mean doing whatever you feel like. It means not being controlled by what you feel. It means choosing your response, even when the world provokes you. Think of the last time you reacted without thinking. Maybe you shouted. Maybe you withdrew in silence. Maybe you acted from fear and called it caution. Did that reaction serve your higher self? Did it reflect your values? Or did it leave you feeling weaker, more lost, more angry at yourself? The Stoics believed that true harm comes not from what others do, but from how we choose to interpret and respond. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The things that trouble you are not the things themselves, but your judgments about them." This is the trap. We believe it's the situation that makes us suffer, but more often it's our unchecked mind, our quick temper, our fragile pride, our refusal to pause and think. We suffer twice. First from the event, then from our reaction to it. A harsh word from someone lasts seconds, but our anger can last for days. A lost opportunity is one moment, but our regret can poison months. The Stoics ask us to wake up, to notice the cycle, to realize that before the emotion takes over, there is always a choice. We don't have to follow the first impulse. We don't have to let feelings write our story. But breaking this cycle takes practice and awareness. It begins with calling it what it is: emotional slavery. Not weakness, not fate, not personality, but a habit, a pattern. One we can unlearn by observing ourselves, by pausing, by questioning, by choosing better. Freedom is not a distant ideal. It starts with the next moment. When you feel the heat rising and choose to stay still, it starts with the next time you want to lash out, but choose silence and reflection instead. It starts by no longer handing over your peace to every passing mood. The Stoics remind us, you can't control what happens, but you can always control how you meet it. And that control, that small space of choice, is where real freedom begins. The Stoics never said that emotions are evil. They never told us to feel nothing. They taught us to feel fully but choose wisely, to let emotions arise but never let them rule, to stand as the master, not the servant, because emotion by itself is not the enemy. Impulse island, it's the unexamined reaction, the blind reflex, the untrained mind that becomes the problem. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal, loss, illness, political chaos. Yet in his journal, he didn't write about blaming others or drowning in rage. He wrote about reason, self-control, virtue. He reminded himself daily, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is emotional discipline, the ability to pause before you speak, to breathe before you react, to ask yourself, is this feeling worthy of guiding my action? Discipline does not mean suppressing what you feel. It means standing at the doorway between feeling and action and choosing carefully who you let through. Epictetus taught that every event is neutral until we judge it. Someone cuts you off in traffic, that's just a fact. You turning red with rage, that's your judgment. Someone insults you, just words. You taking offense, that's your choice. Discipline begins when you catch the gap between what happens and how you label it. And that gap is everything. Seneca warned that anger is like a fire. If you feed it, it grows uncontrollable. But if you pause, if you step back, if you let it cool, you remain free. The Stoics practiced this every single day. They didn't wait for life to be kind. They didn't expect the world to be fair. They prepared their minds for insult, for hardship, for loss. They trained so that when emotion rose, they could see it like a passing cloud. Observe it, acknowledge it, but not obey it. This is not cold attachment. It's clear sight. It's knowing that acting out of anger leads to regret, that speaking in fear leads to cowardice, that drowning in sadness leads to stagnation. The disciplined mind sees the feeling but waits. It asks, what would wisdom do now? It asks, is this response in line with my values? It asks, will this action lead to peace or more chaos? Discipline is not built in moments of ease. It's built in moments of tension, when your heart races and you pause, when your pride flares and you breathe, when your sadness pulls and you choose action. This is emotional training, like a muscle strengthened by repetition. The Stoics journaled daily, reflected nightly, reviewed their failings without self-pity, but with determination to improve. They knew that mastery is not a single victory, but a lifelong discipline. So, the next time emotion surges and your body prepares to react, remember, you are not powerless. You are not a slave. You are a rational being with the capacity to pause, reflect, and respond. This is Stoic discipline, not perfection but practice, not suppression but selection, not emotionless but emotionally wise. Every day, every moment, you're given the chance to choose again, to let reason sit at the head of the table, to let virtue guide your words and your actions. This is the path, hard, but worth every step, because true freedom begins with mastery over yourself, but worth every step, because true freedom begins with mastery over yourself. Understanding this truth is one thing, but embodying it requires something more. Now we turn to practice. Understanding Stoic discipline is one thing. Practicing it is something else entirely. The mind, left untrained, will always return to its old habits, reaction, impulse, regret. That's why the Stoics didn't just write philosophy, they lived it. They trained for it. They created tools to strengthen their minds, the same way a soldier trains his body. Today, we turn to 4 of their most powerful tools, 4 anchors, to steady you in any emotional storm. First, pause and observe. The first tool is simple, but not easy. When something triggers you, when anger rises, when fear tightens your chest, when sadness pulls you down, to stop. Before the first word, before the first action, before the emotion takes full control, pause. This pause is your first line of defense. It's the breath that separates reaction from response. It's the space where awareness enters. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." And where is that power most visible? In this pause. Notice what's happening inside you. Observe the physical sensation, the racing heart, the clenched fists, the shallow breath. Name the emotion. Call it out. This is anger. This is fear. This is sadness. When you name it, you create distance. You shift from being inside the emotion to observing it. You become the watcher, not the victim. In this space, you regain control. You choose not to send that angry text, not to raise your voice, not to spiral into overthinking. you choose to respond with clarity. This pause is a small act, but it changes everything. Next, reframe the situation. The second tool is perspective. Events happen, but meaning is something we assign. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." What happens to you is often neutral. It's your judgment that gives it weight. Reframing is the Stoic art of changing the story you tell yourself. A delayed train becomes a chance for patience. An insult becomes an opportunity for composure. A failure becomes a lesson in resilience. Marcus Aurelius faced wars, plague, political betrayal, yet he wrote, "Disaster, number opportunity." This is not blind optimism. It's mental training. It's asking yourself, when things go wrong, what virtue is life asking me to practice now? Courage, patience, humility, wisdom. By reframing, you reclaim power. You shift from victim to student, from helpless to proactive. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "How can I grow from this?" Reframing turns obstacles into training grounds. It transforms suffering into strength. Now, focus only on what you can control. Perhaps the most famous and most powerful Stoic principle. Epictetus said, "Some things are up to us, and some things are not." This is a daily mantra, a mental shield. What's outside your control? The weather, other people's opinions, the economy, traffic, illness, death. What's within your control? Your thoughts, your actions, your interpretations, your responses. Every time you stress about something, ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, let it go. Worrying won't change the outcome. If the answer is yes, then act. Do what you can with clarity and purpose. Most of our emotional suffering comes from fighting what we can't change. We want people to behave a certain way. We want life to unfold according to our plans. But the Stoic path is to accept what is beyond us and focus all our energy on what is ours, our mindset, our effort, our character. This focus is liberating, because once you let go of what you can't control, you reclaim energy for what truly matters: your peace, your discipline, your growth, and finally, voluntary discomfort. The final tool is the most demanding. The Stoics didn't wait for life to test them. They created their own tests. Seneca slept on the floor. He wore rough clothes. He ate simple food, not out of self-punishment, but preparation. He asked himself, "Is this what I feared?" By choosing discomfort, he built resilience. Because comfort makes us soft. Luxury makes us fragile. The Stoics knew that when real hardship comes, an untrained mind collapses. But a disciplined mind stands firm. Voluntary discomfort takes many forms. Fasting. To learn hunger won't break you. Cold showers. To teach the body to endure. Silence. when you want to argue, waking early, when the body begs for more sleep. It's not about suffering for its own sake. It's about choosing to face small discomforts now, so that when larger storms come, you're ready. Marcus Aurelius faced death and war, but every day he reminded himself, "You were born for this." Each act of voluntary hardship is a declaration, "I am stronger than this feeling. I can endure. I will choose my response." In modern life, where convenience is everywhere, this practice matters more than ever, because when life removes discomfort, it also removes training. And when difficulty finally arrives, we're unprepared. By choosing discomfort, we reclaim toughness. We remind ourselves that comfort is not our master, discipline is. 4 tools, 4 anchors. Pause and observe. Reframe the situation. Focus on control. Embrace voluntary discomfort. Simple words, but deep work. The Stoics didn't promise an easy life. They promised that with practice, you could live with dignity, even in difficulty, that you could choose your response, even when life is cruel, that you could find freedom, not in changing the world, but in mastering yourself. This is the training ground. This is the path. And it begins with the next choice you make. But this choice is not a one-time event. It's a daily practice. Discipline is not a one-time decision. It's not a single act of restraint. It's a way of living. Freedom from emotional slavery is built in the ordinary moments, in the daily choices, in the small habits that seem insignificant but shape everything. The Stoics knew this. They didn't hope to become disciplined through theory alone. They practiced relentlessly, intentionally. They treated life itself as training. You want emotional freedom? Then make discipline part of your daily routine. Start with the morning, before the world pulls at you, before the emails, the noise. The distractions begin with intention. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be today? Where will I choose to respond, not react? What virtues will I embody today? The morning is the forge, where you set the tone for everything that follows. Marcus Aurelius began his days by reminding himself, you will meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. But he chose not to let them control his peace. You can do the same. Set your expectation. Difficulties will come. Triggers will appear. But I will choose how to meet them. Throughout the day, remember the pause. When emotions rise, step back, observe. Choose. When frustration knocks, breathe. When fear whispers, question it. When sadness clouds your vision, refocus on what you control. The day is your training ground. Use small moments to build big strength. Evening brings another opportunity. Reflection. Sit with yourself. Ask, when did I act from impulse today? When did I choose reason over reaction? What can I do better tomorrow? Seneca called this the evening examination. Not with harsh judgment, but with honest clarity. What triggered you today? Why did it trigger you? Did you pause? Did you reframe? Did you focus on what you could control? Write it down. Keep track. Growth is built on awareness, and when you notice improvement, celebrate it. Not with pride, but with gratitude. You're moving forward. You're reclaiming control, but don't expect perfection. You will slip. You will react at times. You will say things you regret. That's part of the path. The Stoics stumbled too, but they kept returning to their practice, to their journal, to their inner work. This is discipline, not flawless execution, but relentless return. You train the body by lifting weights. You train the mind by lifting moments of difficulty. And with time, you change. You become less reactive, more aware, more grounded, more free. People will notice. They'll sense your calm, your presence, your control. And you will feel it too. When others shout, you'll remain steady. When plans fall apart, you'll adjust with grace. When fear visits, you'll welcome it but not bow to it. This is Stoic emotional freedom. Not the absence of feeling, but the presence of choice. So each morning, set your intention. Each day, practice the pause. Each night, reflect and learn. This is not just self-improvement. This is the art of living. Seneca said, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." And now it's your turn. Every day, every decision is a chance to step closer to the person you aspire to be. Not a slave to emotion, but a master of your response. Your training starts now. But before we finish, let's gather the lessons one last time. Here we are at the end of this reflection. But really, it's just the beginning. We've seen the truth about emotional slavery, how it creeps in, takes control. When we aren't looking, we've explored Stoic discipline, not as theory, but as practice, a way of living. We've uncovered the tools, the pause, the reframing, the focus on control, the strength of discomfort. But none of this matters if it stays as words. Knowledge is nothing without action. The Stoics knew this. They didn't just write. They lived. They chose every day to respond with intention. Now it's your turn. When anger rises, pause. When fear whispers, reframe. When life brings chaos, focus on what you control. When comfort dulls you, choose discomfort. Train your mind before life forces it upon you. You will slip, you will fall, but each time rise again. Stronger, wiser. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress, consistency. Discipline. Life is short, time limited. Every breath is one you won't get back. So choose well, choose reason over reaction, virtue over impulse, freedom over slavery. You are not your anger, not your fear, not your sadness. You are the space between stimulus and response. The master of your mind. Live like it.